وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Those are online. Can someone announce on the groups that the Akida class is started? Just announce on the groups, the Musalla group and everything. Those are online. Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. تمام. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين في كل لحظة عند مصلى في كل لحظة بدا على نعم الله وأفضاله. اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ونتعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهني وهاب يا غني علم لدني مشرب صافي الهني هاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني مشرب صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أين ini book? Do you need a book? Anna? Yeah. You bought a book? Oh, you have a book, is it? Oh, you bought it. Okay. اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أمرك ونواهيك. I give you. Thank you. Yes, yes. I give you, yeah. Hello. Oh, Zainab Muhammad. ألهمنا علما نفقه به أمرك. هو سوزان. اللهم علمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف بك كيف نجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه عنا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخير الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. We continue for Abu, inshallah. Bismillah. So we are at the part on the Aqidah where we have reached the place of bil qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi wa bi malaikatillah wa bil qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi. We are there on page 38. There on page 38. Tamam. Right. Tamam. You use borrow. Okay. Tamam. Okay. وبكل ما شاء الله وبكل رسول أرسله الله تعالى وبملائكة الله وبالقدر خيره وشره وبالقدر خيره وشره والذي خلقني نعم this is the ayat. تمام. So we believe in every prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent. Ibrahim made a good entrance. تمام. Alhamdulillah. Distraction, I said. So بكل رسول أرسله الله تعالى, and every prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent. Right. So there are 4 traits, right? There are 4 necessary traits, right, of prophets. You have conveyance, you have the book. You know, you have for conveyance, which is tabligh, intelligence, which is fatana. Right. So fatana هو الحد العقل وقوة الذكاء وحد العقل. In Arabic, that's how you would explain the word fatana. Right. So fatana, it is the strength of mind. I mean, the strength of a person's intellect, and haddul aql means the sharpness of their mind. That is fatana, right? And we spoke at length actually as to why these traits are compulsory for prophets, right? Because prophets, and following up from prophets was because ulama or scholars are the inheritors of prophets. And the ulama warathatul anbiya, right? The scholars, they are the inheritors of prophets. So the more scholars move towards the traits of prophets, right, the more they actually are giving the rights of knowledge, right? Giving knowledge is rights, right? So prophets have 4 traits. They have conveyance, right? So it's tabligh, right? And it's something you will find among scholars, that they will spend their entire time thinking how to bring a message to people. Right? They will think of all ways, all methods, all means, and they already, you say, yubaddil anfusahum, right? They will spend their own selves, their wealth, their time. I think the whole life revolves around trying to deliver this message to other people. And that is what prophets do. Right? Prophets' entire existence revolves around delivering to people Allah's message. So scholars who are on the path of prophets, you'll find them going in this way. Right? So our belief in prophets, right, on one count, it is for us to increase our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah has created human beings. They have these 4 traits. Right? They're perfect conveyance, and whatever that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is compulsory on them to deliver this message. They have perfect intelligence. They are geniuses in their own right. And from there you find, as we mentioned earlier on, you find this to be a proof of their prophethood, and also the proof of the truth of this religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given necessarily for its wajib in their haqq, is wajib in their sifat, that they have the highest intellect. And it only makes sense. And it only makes sense, right? You can't bring proofs to a people when you are dim-witted. I mean, then people will not believe in the message because of your flaws. You're unable to explain to people, or to give them the hujjah, the proofs. Right? So how many times as non-prophets that someone asks you a question and you know what's right, what's the answer, but because of your lack of knowledge, right, and your own lack of ability to explain things to people, right, people don't believe you. And there's no flaw in Islam, but the flaw is you. You're unable to deliver this message to other people. As non-prophets, we feel that all the time. That I know what's right, I know what's to say, what's to be said, but I don't know how to say it. Then you hear Habib say it like that. That was a perfect answer. And sometimes he gives the answer, it's a perfect answer. Subhanallah. And so I would have never thought of that. Of saying it that way. Because we are flawed human beings, we're not prophets. Right. So it's Allah's hujjah on the day of judgment that people can't come in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say to Allah that the person who delivered the message was dim-witted. The person who delivered the message, was unable to express, was unable to explain, and was a lousy teacher. So prophets are perfect in that way. So there's no hujjah, there's no proof. Right? Because if you just hear the words of Rasulullah, you find perfect proofs of the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all prophets necessarily so there is no argument on the day of judgment that someone might say that the prophet failed in his job in telling us this message. Right? So which is why you have the entire ummah picking up from the role of Rasulullah as the perfect teacher. You have the whole ummah Muhammadiyah, right, trying to bring across this message. So it takes the whole ummah to bring across the message of Rasulullah. One person, what he did, the whole ummah is required to actually try and deliver this, right, to other people, make them understand. And alhamdulillah, Allah has created amongst the ulama of this ummah those who are very smart. And he's just smart in a sense whereby they're able to take something so complicated and break it down to become so simple that anybody can understand. Right? And there's something we see in like Imam Ghazali, and he writing his books, mashallah, like very complicated matters, he breaks it down into very simple concepts. And even, and even simpler than those of Imam Ghazali, Imam al-Haddad. Khalij's works are very simple works. So it is something as complicated as what Imam Ghazali has done. Which Imam Ghazali is very simple. What he has done, he has simplified the matter. But for us, Ya Allah, Imam Ghazali, his works are complicated. Ya Allah. Imam al-Haddad, taking Ihya al-Muddin, taking all this Imam Ghazali and simplify even further, right? And then you have Habib Omar and taking the works of Imam al-Haddad, Imam Ghazali, and simplifying it even further, right? So the Ummah can understand what is brought to us from our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then again, the words of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam suffices us. There is hadith, right? It encompasses all of life. You also go to the 40 hadiths of Imam Nawawi. All of life is in there. Right? Your whole life, any problem, you go to the 40 hadiths of Imam Nawawi and you'll find the solutions all there. It's all there. It's all there. And there is the mu'jiza of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you have intelligence, you have truthfulness, right? And we spoke about why it's necessary, right? Because if prophets were to have ever lied, which is mustahil, then how can they speak about something that nobody knows about? Right? So the only way to prove matters that cannot be physically proven in the physical world is that you prove the truth. You get it, right? So how do you prove something physically? You prove it by, having evidence that this thing actually. But if something is not in the physical realm, how do you prove it? You prove it by the physical person who is talking about it. So if I want to tell you something, maybe if I'm a liar, for example, I want to be about physics, I'm a liar, right? And I say, you know what, right? Tomorrow, right? There is a majlis, it's a big, affair happening at the Zahra, and the liar say, are you sure? So the person will say, Omar. So you have Omar's name, right? He is the one who said it. So straight away, you put credibility, on your words by quoting someone, right? That people know that's not lie. Right? So you see that. So the credibility of what I'm saying, the proof of what I'm saying is not in the thing itself, but in the person who said it. And that is genius. This is, of course, divine genius. Right? So Allah knows that there are matters that you cannot prove physically. Right? Jannah, Nar, Sirat, day of judgment, birth, diapers. You see all these things. So you can't physically prove these things. So the only way to prove it is that the person who's speaking has integrity. That is how you prove it. And we understand this concept for normal human beings. And if someone is known to be upright, you can quote that person's name. Right? So someone said, tomorrow there's holiday in Darul Zahra. Then who said? Samuniba. Okay. Right? Straight away you say, oh, okay, Samuniba said. Right? They say, who said? Fana said. Huh? How does she know? Don't know. Right? So you want like, she's not in Idara, she's not in the office. How would she know? Right? But Samuniba, okay, someone in the office, she knows what's going on. So, and usually you see it in human experience. So all the more for prophets, right? So there cannot be any possibility that what he's saying is in any way inaccurate. Cannot be any possibility. So that is wajib on prophets as sidq. In their life, they will never say a single lie for the prophets, even in cases whereby in the Sharia it is permissible to lie. Even in cases whereby the Sharia is possible, for example, in war. Right? In war, it is permissible to lie. In fact, deception is a weapon of war. Deception. You don't tell your enemy where you are, and then expose your plots to the enemy. That is called, not being smart. Right? But of course, with prophets, they are unable to even lie in that situation. They cannot. It's not in their ability. Right? So even when they were doing the scouting, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Sayyidina Abu Bakr, they were scouting to see where the kuffar were, one of the wars, right? And they went past the Bedouin, and the Bedouin was blind, right? And the Bedouin, and they know these Bedouins, they're basically blabbermouths. Right? They would tell and tell and tell. So they know that if this Bedouin were to know that Rasulullah and Sayyidina Abu Bakr, had come to him and spoken to him, right? If the kuffar find this Bedouin and he would blabber to them and say, oh, the Muslims are behind the mountain. They're actually in the area just now. Right? So when Rasul asked the Bedouin, is there anybody who has come? Because they want to find out, are the kuffar here? Right? And the Bedouin was like, no, there's nobody in the area. Right? And then the Bedouin said to Rasul, where are you all from? And he said, Nahnu min al-ma. Like Mimma, from Ma. And Ma is a town in Iraq. It also means water. Right? So when he says Nahanu Mimma, right, what the Betty was speaking, oh, Iraq, people from Iraq. Right? But what some meant was we're from water. We all
Sorry,
created from water.
mommy.
Right? So Ma,
Masih
in that way.
masih
Right? Another one also, so the scholars say about Rasulullah in the proofs of his inability to lie, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that, when Sayyidina Aisha asked the question to Rasulullah, who is the most beloved wife to you? Right? And his answer was Khadija. Sit off Khadija. Right? And in Islam, you could actually say that wife, if you have many wives, right? You could tell each of them that they are most beloved to you. You could actually do that in Islam to prevent fights and displeasure between wives, right? But Rasulullah is unable. He's unable to say something except the truth. So when Sayyidah Khadija passed away, right, she's in her grave. And the wife who is most beloved to him right now, who is alive, is Sayyidina Aisha. So even him saying Aisha is not a lie, right? Because she's the most beloved, in another hadith, who's most beloved to you, Aisha, right? The most beloved, who is amongst those who are alive right now, right? MashaAllah. So he could have said that, right? But he's in himself, he could not lie. Right. So only truth came from his mouth. Who's the most beloved wife? Who's the most beloved of your wives? So of all of his wives, who's the most beloved? Khadija. Right. SubhanAllah. Even if people upset this very wife who's alive in front of me, one that I'm gonna answer her name, she's dead, she's passed away. So she's not even affected by the answer, but the one alive is affected by the answer, he cannot lie. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He just has to say Khadija. Right? And he said Khadija, it's in Aisha, mashallah. Right? So this all, and this is to show necessarily prophets cannot lie because they bring information and nobody knows about. Right? Sama'iyat. Right? So this is why they cannot lie. The integrity is 100% integrity, mashallah. And the last one is infallibility, and we spoke about this, right? Whereas they cannot go against the Sharia that they brought. That is why amana. And amana, right? And all of these four traits, we took them and we compared them to the ulama of our time. Right? So the closer an alim, a scholar, is to the path of Rasulullah, the more they four traits. Right? So prophets to perfection, the scholars have these, right, to an amount. Right. So the more they are close to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the more they will show these four traits. Right. So they will show that they will never lie, the scholars. You will not hear any lie from them. And quoting them is a way of proving something. Right. That their name becomes a source of credibility. So Habib Omar said this. A story from Habib Omar. The story is from Habib Omar himself. This tafsir was from Habib Omar's dars. Right. So you actually use him as an authority. His name, straight okay, believable. People say, where is that from? Louis' story is from where? This Sirah is from where? Habib Omar. Oh, okay. Straight away, they back, they back off. I mean, those who hold on to the awliya, right? They back off and they like, yeah, okay. There is credibility in this because alim, scholar, right, who said it. Also, and mashallah, but sometimes Allah alam, but in our land, it's a slight comment. in outside of Tarim, if you keep doing that, if you keep saying, oh, Habib Fulan says that, of course they will, which I get so many times, they will throw the word ta'assub at you. Ta'assub. And ta'assub means that you're just holding on. Habaib only correct. We've never said that. We never said that only the habaib are right? But the habaib are authority. They are authority. Why? By the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, sanad wa al-bit. Right? They have sanad. They have authority to say what they say. Right? So there's one time I posted some things on long time years ago. And I was still studying here, I think 2015 or something, 2016. I posted something on my Facebook, on some things about breastfeeding, in regards to breastfeeding and not going past 22 years of breastfeeding, which because at the time there was this push, from the West, right, to breast as long as you can. Some go up to 4 years, some go up to 5 years of breastfeeding. A child, stuck to the mother's breast, a grown, breastfeeding. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But it was a thing that was going on, I think, a few years ago. I did that breastfeed as long as you want, as long as you want. Like, of course, in Tarim, they're like, oh, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. How is the wife? Like, they see carrying a big child. They'd be like, how old is she? Sahaba Maryam, I mean, she goes around in Asia and she sees, mothers breastfeeding, big grown children. She'd be like, come on, bro. Straight away, in the dust, she'll stop the dust. How old is the child? Straight away, she'll stop and she'll ask, how old is the child? Now, like, 3. She said, 3? La hawla wa la. Don't do it for Hawa, please. But of course, she wants to be, I mean, subhanAllah, how about, they will say, 3 years old? Still on the breast. So anyway, I posted a post on it. And I get some material from the Habaib and from some hikmah, some wisdom and what they say. Because of what they say, especially from Muslim, it's all the parenting. But I have a point here. So what they say here in Hadramaut is that if you go beyond 2, right, in breastfeeding, that is shahwat. It's a shahwa of the child for the comfort of the breast, and no longer a need of the child. It's shahwat, right? So the child just wants it's basically comfort eating. Basically, you understand? We all have comfort eating, right? Eat ice cream, comfort eating. The child is going through comfort eating, which is why if you try and break it off later, it becomes a struggle, right? Because of addiction. It has become an addiction and not a need anymore. This is what they do as in Hadramaut. And they have this very strong thing. And they will say this will lead to them being aqlil walidain wa na'udhu billah. Aq means darhaka, or it means disobedient, right? Or evil towards their parents. So it's one of the reasons of a child that grows up, in a bad way towards their parents is because they breastfeed for more than 2 years. Right, so the nafs becomes strengthened. Right? When the nafs is strengthened, it's all nafsi, right? And it can lead to that lah. Not necessarily, but it can lead. So this is what they will say in Hadramaut. They will say that that's why they will say after 2 years, stop. Right? Don't let the child just continue. And in fact, in the Burda there is a verse in the Burda that the nafs like a tifli, it's like a child, right? And if you don't wean it, right, it will remain breastfeeding. But when you wean it, it will be weaned. It will move away. So I'm not going to talk about all of those things. But basically, I posted a post. And I posted it up on my Facebook 2015. Of course, some time ago, I posted it up on Facebook. Just to kind of counter this entire, discussion online by Muslims as well. Right, non-Muslims, because it has been swept up by the entire thing with no prophetic guidance, nor from the Quran. The Quran speaks about 2 years. And the 2 years thing is where Quran, not as one point, I think two verses in the Quran that speaks about the 2 years thing in the Quran, not even hadith. Yes, there is in the hadith. Most of the ulama, the dalil is very strong, but it's just that the ulama did not make it hukum haram. It's not strong enough to say haram, right? And they will say not even makruh, but any khilaful awla, and stay away from it because of perhaps some kids might need it, depending. So maybe some kids have physical disability or they have physical difficulty in growth or whatsoever. It could be. So it's not as a rahmah in that way. But normal children, by 2 off their breasts. Right? So I wrote it out, and then someone was, I think there was like, nah. Yes, right. So of course there is a khilaf between 2 and 2.5 because of the ayat Quran, right? That actually goes into, I think it was 30 months, right? 30 months, right? So 30 months that was mentioned, right, in the Quran, 30 months, right? So is it 24 months and a half? And so some scholars say 30 months is inclusive of pregnancy. So 30 months inclusive of, because a minimum pregnancy is 6 months. Minimum, there is a healthy pregnancy in Islam. Minimum is 6 months, and then 24 months thereafter in breastfeeding, right? Because the entire ayat goes, it's pregnancy and it's feeding is 30 months, right? If I remember the ayat correctly, right? So some scholars say that 30 months is for breastfeeding specifically. So they give it leeway to 2.5 years. Some of them, but it's not our madhab. I think Hanafi madhab or another madhab, not Shafi'i, right? Shafi'i madhab says that 30 months inclusive of pregnancy, And then after the baby comes out, then continue to 3 months. Allahu Alam. There are khilaf in this matter, but al-muhim, not 4 years. I mean, this is ridiculous. Breast 4 years is ridiculous. But it also was being spread and being pushed online and on many platforms, right? And Muslims are taking into it without the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ, not the Quran. And they were taking, so I wrote a post about it, and I quoted, a few of but without saying the habaib, I just, quoted the hikmah in all of these things to lead to a child who can control his nafs, a child who can, be good to his parents, birrul walidain, right? A child who can grow up well, right? And so on and so forth, right? Said that you would train them with the sunnah. As you control their shahawat with the sunnah. They want to eat. Tell them, go wash your hands first. Right? Tell them, sit down, read the dua, bismillah. Right? Tell them, right hand, eat what is near you. This is all the control of the sunnah on the shahawat of a human being. Right? You want to sleep? No, dark, sleep. No. Sit down, take wudu. Take wudu now. Right? Take wudu, come back. Come back, read dua. Right? Control the sleep. Right? Do all that you need to do. Wipe yourself, everything. Sleep. So the sunnah is really really the reins on the nafs. It's controlling the nafs. Take things slowly. Don't just eat, drink, sleep, and just bash around. Right? Don't do that. The sunnah controls you. Controls you. In the recipient, there is an entire thing about after the weaning. And now you have a ball of nafs with no akal. The akal has not come, but it's a ball of nafs. And that's why you have the non-mubayyiz child. And this is why in our culture, you have terrible 2, terrible 3. They have energy, they have strength, they have nafs, they have no akal. Test on the parents. The parents, test. Because the akal haven't come. At 7, akal supposed to come. Right? 7, 8, 9, akal comes in. Before 7, and then I was saying to it, so somebody so I couldn't have very much. Right? There were some people, I won't say who, later on, when I went to Singapore to apply to teach as an Satiza, right? Who pointed this post out and say you have ta'assub. There's ta'assub here. And ta'assub meaning that you're holding you as if habaib only correct. And I say, what ta'assub? Stay 2 years breastfeeding because Habib Ali Mashur said, هذا في Quran. I mean, it's in the Quran. It's not. I mean, and do you all know who is Habib Ali Mashur? And they said, oh, you people from Tarim, you only listen to the Habaib. Okay? Open up from Misr, open up from Sham, open up from other ulama. Come, let's open up. Madhab Imam Shafi'i. Come, open up. I mean, it's not Habib Ali Mashur. And he's an alim. But he's not saying his own words. They're all just saying what the scholars have derived from who? And Nabi, from who? Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Quran. Right, but subhanAllah, I remember when I was doing the interview, right, they were like, ta'assub, who said only 2 years? Right, you are causing, a rift amongst the Muslims to say only 2 years. Not my words. I mean, who am I to make hukum? Right, anyway, right, so sometimes, I would just, quote from the Habaib, from the Mashayikh, and the things that I will say to them, I study in Tarim. Obviously, I will quote the Hadramis, right? If you study in Misr, you will quote the Misri scholars. If you study in Sham, you will quote the Sham scholars. Obviously. If you study in all, you can quote all. And I do quote Shri Ramadan because I do listen to him online. His record lectures. So I do quote Shri Ramadan and Ibuti. And in fact, in Tarim, we learn his books. Sheikh Muhammad Said and Rambuti, we learn his books. So I quote him because I learn his books. Like, and in fact, I should quote any Sheikh Sha'rawi from Masr. I hear his tafsir is so mashallah. I love his tafsir. Right? It's from Masr. And I'll quote him because I hear from him. Right? But probably 90% of the one I hear from is Habib Omar. So of course, my quoting will Habib Omar, Habib Omar, Habib Omar said, Habib Omar said, because 90% of my time I'm just on Habib Omar. Right? But apparently, Allah hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Right? They call it ta'assub. It's not ta'assub. It is holding on to the scholars, and rightfully so, because we have been commanded by the Prophet ﷺ to hold on to the righteous or the udul of every generation, to hold on to them. Who are they? Al-Bayt. Al-Bayt, alaykum bil Sham, alaykum bil Yemen, right? The ulama are there. Oh, so many ayah, so many of the hadiths of Rasulullah ﷺ. Right? So for us to understand this, that we understand that credibility. Like credibility, which is important, right? So whatever people want to say to you, sometimes I have one friend who was like, because the asub good, we are ta'assub to the scholars, right? The ta'assub to the scholars, good. It's a good thing, right? It's a praise, right? It is a praise, not itself. It's a praise, but it usually is a bad thing. Ta'assub, right? Subhanallah, and the scholars don't say anything wrong. The scholars in Tarim, in Sham, okay, maybe they don't say anything wrong. They're never wrong, like, mashallah. But they aren't, because whatever they say, there is a kitab and a kutub, kutub turathiyah, right? Of the past scholars, they have all the evidence, sanad to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At the same time, the same people who keep crying out ta'asub, they're the same people who are hearing modern day scholars who have no sanad, no chain of linkage, no proof, and no base to what they are saying and preaching in their zaman. Yet you can hear all these people. And those who have strong sanad, and they're only saying, with, isn't, in the sanad with permission, through the ijaza, system, or the ta'asub. It's our zaman. I remember it was a big problem, and I just had to keep my mouth shut, because the more I argue, the worse my interview. So I just keep quiet. Tamam. Okay, I won't do it anymore. Okay, but I will sit in my class. Like, mashallah. But in the sense, for us to understand that, right? So we believe in prophets, all prophets, right? The four traits, and the ulama who are close in the way of the prophets will show these four traits, right? The four traits of conveyance. You see now, all the habaib and all the mashayikh who are on the line of the Prophet, they do whatever they can to have to convey the message. They will go the most difficult, paths to do that. You see the intellect, subhanallah. You just hear Habib Omar speak through his books in English or in Arabic. His books, this is genius, right? Genius. He's in our zaman. You go back, you go Habib Al-Adani, genius. So geniuses. Allah gave them intellect, right? Because they are the inheritors of prophets. You look at their not just truthfulness, their entire taqwa, their piety. Right? So sometimes people quote, other people in the world who are, Allahu Alam, call them da'is, whatever they are, right? But these people, they are engaged in sin, and known to people they are engaged in sin. Like when I look at our habaib, subhanallah, like the level of taqwa, level of piety, level of righteousness, the ibadah, the tahajjud, the qiyamul layl, the sawm, the zuhd, everything about them. So when you see, they hear all these modern day, I don't know what to call them, speakers, and modern day speakers or preachers, they're not scholars. You look at a scholar, if you've seen a scholar, that they Singapore say they watch any silsila, they watch so as I watch it. It's okay. This Japanese drama series. They are satira. You will be shocked if one of the Habaib watch it. You'll be like, la, 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 mustahil, mustahil. The Habaib do not do anything except worship. And that's what you expect of your alim, of the ulama. You expect of the ulama. You don't expect anything less. 24/7, they are on ibadah. And so we take them as our example. We take them as this. So when I think of to myself, I want to rest. Then, in our countries, like I've heard my own ears of the asatida, like who watch movies, watch films, and they say it's okay, you can watch a movie to rest. SubhanAllah, if you are awam, khalas, awam. If you are carrying the religion, even if you do it high, I mean, don't tell people. It becomes a fitna onto people because Ustaza Fulana or Ustaz Fulan, watches all this stuff. So it's okay for us to watch all this stuff. It's not okay. It's not okay. And to put in context, you imagine someone sitting to you right now, that Habib Omar is watching stuff. You bet there's a lie. There's a lie. It's a lie. And he does not. He doesn't have time to sleep, Habib Omar. He's round the clock on the Ummah. Of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not decided aku as the ta'asub of Habib Omar, mashallah. But look at him. I mean, I can't even look anywhere else in the subhanallah. But in the sense, like just to understand it, that it's an amana. This is the amana comes in. Right? So the more an alim, so we learn about the prophets, reflect on ourselves as the ummah, and we look at the alim, the ulama that we are to follow. Right? It's a very popular question nowadays. Who do I follow? There's so much going on online. So many ulama online, so many people who claim to be ulama, so many da'is, so many preachers, whatsoever. Like, who do I follow? Those who are closest to this fortress of the prophets. Those who are closest, right, in their tabligh, in their conveyance, in their fatana, right, in their intellect, right, in their sidq, and that will bring in together taqwa, and their piety, their righteousness. They're upright Muslims, right? Not involved in lying, not involved in slandering, not involved in cheating, not involved in anything. Even riba, ya Allah, ya Allah. Not even talking about people. Subhanallah. Like, imagine all this. You have a real life example? Oh, Habaib. Just imagine any of them. Would any of them be involved in these things? No. Subhanallah. This is why sometimes I know of people online, like their interactions with women, some of these male preachers, right? How they are with women. You know what? Habib will never do that. So Habib will never behave in that way. You will not find this kind of skeletons in the closet in Habib Omar's closet. His closet is all kutub, or you have another one of him in there. And there's somebody, who has like this, the awliya stories. All of the awliya, how Maryam will tell the story of the awliya. I think Sheikh Al-Akbar, he had like many ajsam, and he used to go to his house and he would open up the closets and his ajsam all there. One Quran, one is praying, one is doing zikr, one is out. So he's out doing dawah. He's like a few of them, mashallah. Awliya stories, mashallah. It's tajassum. And by day, you can see them in many parts of the world. These are awliya stories. But anyway, I'm just saying that you won't find anything, any filth, any dirt on Habib Umar, because there isn't. There isn't. Other scholars, other preachers, it has come up. It has come out. Right? Things that are filthy. Right? They have done. Right? So you say amana. Amana is a big thing because you collapse when you find out that your teacher that you're following is guilty of lying, of cheating, of this, of that. Like you, as a follower, you're like, what am I going to do? You collapse. This is why, who do you follow? Follow the people who are closest to this fortress of the prophets. And they are in our zaman, they are those who inherit from the prophets. The last one is amana. Right? So you have sidq and you have amana. I know there are a lot of questions that have been posted, but then every time my internet breaks and comes back on, all the questions all disappear. People post questions, and then whenever the internet breaks, the whole chat is empty. So if anybody asks questions, you must ask it again because now my chat is empty. I can't see anything. Tamam. And then bimalaikatillah. So we mentioned about prophets. So now, so that the role of prophets, right, to guide them, right, as guides, role models, and to convey the message. So when you understand, and also as a fourth role of prophets, to be a hujjah, to be a proof, Allah's proof on a day of judgment. So Allah has sent prophets as a proof on day of judgment. Nobody can argue against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They didn't know about this message. Allah sent prophets. Right, subhanAllah. Right, so in the angels, malaikatillah, and they are the most numerous of Allah's creation. Nobody knows their number except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are created from light. They have no gender, nor do they eat and drink. We must know 10 of them and what they are in charge of. They do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they do as has been commanded. And this, inshallah, we're going to Aql al-Awam, we go into it with tafsir. Because in Aql al-Awam, they will speak about every single angel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that aqidah. So I'm going to go through it quickly, so that the next book there is more information. وَبِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ وَبِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. That I knew there were going to be questions about breastfeeding, because I went to the entire topic of breastfeeding. Right, so it right, so it later I'll answer the questions there. A lot of questions here going on. Tamam. Tamam. Right, so بِالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ, in the decree, the good and bad of it, and to have certainty that all that happens in the creation is in the will and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because nothing else has power nor will. Full stop. So the Mu'tazila, they believe that bad deeds are from the power of the creation. And that is wrong. You don't say bad deeds are from our own qudra. We have no qudra. We have no power. But our decisions, yes, we decide. But for example, if someone wants to lie, right? So they decide to lie. They don't doing a bad deed. They decide to lie. The movement of the tongue, whose power is that? Allah, right? To say the lie, right? The flowing of the thoughts in the head, by however it works. I don't know how it works, but however the nerves work in the brain to produce the lie. And all of this is in the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know it's Allah's power because if Allah wants to stop it at any moment, He can. He can make the tongue swell up. He can make the person, He can make the person basically go blank. So can Allah stop the lie? Absolutely. Which means what? He's in control. Which means the lie came from what? His power, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we decide to do it. He has shown us the path of truth and the reward of those who say the truth, and the path of lying and the consequence of those who lie. But do we lie without His power? Of course not. You can't. And the example that the scholars give is that it's any electrical appliance. So for example, electrical appliance, could do many things. But when I unplug it, it dies. Right? So the appliance is reliant on the current flowing through for it to do something. All of creation is reliant, on the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to do something, whether it's good or bad. Right? So the Mu'tazila, they had an issue with that. How could it be that you say that Allah is the one, in His power that bad things happen? This require electricity, right? You don't blame the electricity for the evil things that these appliances do, right? Or the one who is the appliance. But for example, if someone what's an evil appliance right now? Internet. What's an evil electrical appliance? Yeah, chainsaw. Okay. Someone wants to chainsaw across someone's house, for example, right? So the evil is not in the electricity. But the chainsaw requires electricity for it to work. The evil is in the one who's using it. But me using the chainsaw, do I say, oh, I am powerful because the chainsaw work? No, I'm just the human being who's choosing to do evil things, right? The chainsaw is working through the electricity that is being provided to it. You get it, right? So in our understanding of the qada, the decree,
good and bad are from Allah, what it means is that it cannot happen without Allah's permission and His power, which is obvious, because nothing in His creation can happen without His permission nor His power. Right? But Allah informed us what He loves. So it could be in the creation, what is allowed to happen is not in line with what Allah loves, and we see it. But Allah has allowed it. Allah allowing it does not mean Allah agrees to it. I mean, Allah loves it. Allah has allowed it to happen. But it's not that Allah and it has approved it. La. Allah says clearly to us what He approves of and what He disapproves of. Right? So then He allows the things to happen. Right? So for a very clear example, Iblis living to the end of this creation, to the day of judgment. Whose power? Allah, right? Not Iblis. He's not making himself live. Allah. In fact, he asked Allah for permission and for life. He says, "Ya Allah, give me life." Right? So Allah gave the permit. Allah gave him the life till the end of time to do what? To make people disobey Allah. So this Iblis, right, the classic example. Right? Allah's power, Allah's will, Allah's permission to make people disobey Allah. It's all by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does Allah, does Allah approve of the actions of Iblis? No. Does Allah allow for it to happen? Yes. And also informing Iblis, it is wrong. So to allow something, right, and to approve something are different things. They're different. Okay? Right? So for example, as a parent, okay, you see your child doing something. You have said to the child, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So many things the child, don't do this. Still want to do it. You allow it. You don't allow in the sense whereby you give him permission. No, but you let it be. That's it. You might do that if it's not too harmful. Like you say, do lah. Do lah. So it doesn't mean that I agree what they're doing, but I want them to learn their lesson. So you saw it happening, you didn't stop it. Right? You just let it happen. See, they should have fought. She should have try. I told so many times she's not the best on whatever thing she's balancing on. She's gonna fall, she's gonna try. And she fell and she cried. Right? Are you to be blamed that you allowed her to balance on that whatever thing she was doing? You're not to be blamed because you said so many times, don't go there, don't do that. Still want to do, right? You're not to be blamed. That's how we understand al-qadr. خيره وشره من الله تعالى. So you don't say, oh, Allah has allowed me to steal. Right? So I've successfully stolen. Right? Allah allowed for it. Right? There is no sin. No sin. Allah said in the Quran, there is sin. There is sin. Right? For the sariq. Right? For the to punish them. It is a sin. Right? So do you say, no, the very fact I could do it, that means Allah allowed for it. So Allah's not going to punish me. Who said that? So Allah allowing something to happen does not mean that He has approved it to happen. He just allowed it to happen as a test. On human beings, for us to understand that. So inshallah we're at al-qadr, khayri wa shari. This entire topic of the qadr is very important to understand. Because a lot of people, and in fact, inshallah, in the next book, Atul Awam, right, there will be some kalam on that. I want to understand clearly the qada and the qadr. Khayrihi, and the bad of it is from Allah. How do we work with this without ending up blaming Allah for everything? You can't blame Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because Allah has informed us what He wants of us, and He has informed us of the consequences of your decisions. But at the same time, whatever you decide, He is the one who provides you the ability to do it. Because you can't function without Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah. A few questions here. Let me just see the questions here. Oh no, the internet broke again. So those who posted, can you post again? Alright, so the last one I saw here is from City. So when all good comes from Allah and all that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is, they say all that comes from me. Okay, so someone who says all good from Allah and all bad from me, right, is committed after events, it is from adab that we say that. It's from adab, right? So of course we know everything Allah is in control, right? But from adab, we don't say, oh, the mistakes in this book is because Allah has willed it. No, it's from my negligence, me. Right? There are mistakes in this book. Okay. Right. So from Adam, but no, I know, right, that everything goes with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? It is from human flaw. And these flaws have happened. Right. So it is from Adab to say all good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't assume to make myself, but all bad, all mistakes, all flaws is from myself, it's from Adab. Another question, breastfeeding. Are there 2 years to be fully breastfeeding or put in food? We're still talking about it. Okay. So one answer the question. She's been doing her research, my sister, about do you breastfeed fully on milk? Because she's trying to do that for Ibrahim. Fully on milk with no food for 2 years, right? Or do you put in food? Right. So from her research, we ask her all the hababas and all the, they say that if you can to do it 2 years pure milk, then do it. If you're able to lah. Like if you can tahan. Because your child will be drinking from you about 20 times a day. And you're gonna be walking bottle around right, at the call of the child. But there's no food to give the child. The milk, right, child? 20 times a day drinking milk. Allah, the mother is so tired, mashallah. So she asked the Hababas, they said, yes, if you can do pure milk, no foods. If you can lah. I think all the mothers are like, what? No food? This is so hard. Especially if you have a caregiver. If someone's going to give care, the person is the and they're going to put food in the mouth. No grandparents going to wait for milk to come. Mashallah. Right, so, but if you're going to do it, they say, if you can do it, do it. You can do it, do it. Right? But you can't do it, of course, there's no blame. There's no blame in giving nutritious food. There is blame in giving junk. Okay, so give nutritious food. As natural as possible, the better it is. Okay, another question here. What? Okay, benefit. What's the benefit? You tell me, what's the benefit? Okay, the Hababa said that the spiritual development is the best if they're on pure milk. Habib said, which Habib? Oh, I know the Habib. So she said that the one who gives milk purely with no food is best. No water also. No water, no food. Oh, this mother is on the ball. No water, no food. Milk, purely milk. It strengthens the soul of the child. The rohani, which are different, the spiritual child. There's more. So strongest and blue white strongest because she's on your breast for 3 times a day. No, and you won't think of any food. You think of ma. Hungry ma. When any needs, think of the mother. Mashallah. So if you're a mother who's able to do that, right, go ahead. If you're a mother I guess not working mothers like not working, not schooling, not just with the baby only for 2 years, and the baby has not tasted any food, so people not ask for food because they don't even know what. For boys, the P is mukhaffafa. It's najis. It's najis, but mukhaffafa. Tamam. So if you want to put food, it's up to you, but give healthy food. But if you can keep to the milk, mashallah, I salute you. You can keep to the milk. Right. Tamam. So all the classes should be uploaded, inshallah, on YouTube. Okay, tamam. No other questions there. Okay, halas. Tamam. Second one is birrul walidain. Birrul walidain, and the attachment to the mother is strongest. And development of the ruhani of the baby, the ruhani of the baby. Only human milk. Human milk. So either her milk or the milk of other human beings. Yeah. Al-murdi'at said yes. Then khalas, stop. Adi. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. But any afdal. Yes. The best scenario is 2 years. The best scenario. Habib.
Harus kan. Masya Allah. Kita habab khala. صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك. العصر. This one announcement. I'll be starting my degree on Sunday. I'm doing a degree at Jamia Wasatiyah. So my degree is 7:30 to 1 p.m. from Sunday to Thursdays. Yeah, mashallah. So now a lot of my classes need to be shifted here and there. But after 1 p.m. is too hard for me. I think after the degree, I come home, I'm like so tired in my brain. So and then also that let me just leave the